everyone. I'm your host, MC McKenzie. Welcome to the Birth Seat, Our Heritage, Our Legacy podcast, dedicated to addressing the pressing issues of Black maternal health, exploring the stories, the challenges, and the triumphs of Black mothers in Delaware and beyond. On this podcast, we'll dive into our heritage, the systemic barriers we face, and the legacy we aim to leave behind, and we do so through heartfelt conversations right here on the Birth Seat. And joining me for today's conversation, I do have Morgan Harvey and Anya Tretman, who have been doing the transformative work in our community. We're going to talk about what doulas do, why they're essential to Black maternal health, and how we can ensure that more birthing people have access to their support right here on Black Mothers in Power. All right. So I'm going to have you guys introduce yourself in a minute, but let me just let everybody know what we're going to be talking about today. All right? But before we get into it, I want to remind you that March is a powerful month, very powerful month. It's Black Physicians Week, and we have a list of Black doctors and physicians in Delaware available on our website because representation in healthcare matters. And today, March 10th, is Black Women's Rest Day, honoring Harriet Tubman's legacy of resilience and rest. We'll go into that later in the episode, but first, let's talk about why doulas are crucial to our community. And that brings us back to the Butterfield. Wonderful woman. You get ladies look beautiful.
Thank you.
You do too. Great. So before we dive right into, the doula work and Black Mothers in Power in general, if you guys just want to just talk about the defining moment of what caused you to want to become a doula or why you decided to become a doula. And before you also do that, if you can just tell our audience what a doula does in general, and then go into details on why you became a doula.
Okay. Well, I am Morgan Harvey, and a doula is a non-medical support person. We first and foremost educate. We teach self-advocacy in all birthing locations and for birthing situations. And then we are an emotional and physical support that helps even with, comfort measures and laboring through, both prenatal and then into postpartum.
Perfect. And what work do you do?
I am a birth doula. I am also a placenta preparation specialist. And let's see, what else do I do? I'm a mentor for doulas.
Very good. And you?
I am Anaya Trotman, and I am a full spectrum doula. I'm also the doula certification mentor as well. This kind of cohort. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. At least now we have the introduction. And let's just go into why you became a doula. What was that defining moment for you that caused you to want to just dive into this workspace?
I am a mother of two, and after the birth of my second child, I realized even through a very beautiful birthing experience, what was missing, like you had said, representation matters. So I was supported very well where I birthed my son, but at the same time, what was missing was someone that looked like me. What was also missing was still some more information that I feel like would have definitely changed and probably completed my my birthing experience. So for me, I became a doula to be able to support and help educate the way I wish I was through both of my experiences.
Awesome. And one quick question for you. Prior to having your baby, have you heard of doula work before, or when was the first time you heard about doulas?
The funny thing is, I didn't even know what a doula was until probably about 5-6 years ago. I knew the work, and I had actually had been being a doula before I even went into being certified and actually taking a training. But yeah, it wasn't until probably about 5-6 years ago that I was like, oh, there's a name for what I wish I would have had.
Good.
For me, it was when I actually had a doula myself. I didn't know like doulas existed. This was my first pregnancy. I didn't know what I was doing, and we were at a family member's house, and one of their friends asked, like, "Hey, do you have a doula?" I'm just like, "What's that? I don't know what that is." And she explained it, and she offered to be my doula, and just like being in the moment of giving birth and just watching her, how she supported me and helped me advocate, and just like helping my partner as well. I was just like, oh, I want to do this for people. Like, it's something I want to do. And just so happened, like a year later, my makeup artist was pregnant, and she was just asking me questions, and then it was just so natural, and it was just like a natural feeling, and I was just like, I actually like this. I think I want to keep doing it. So that's when they.
Oh, wow. Beautiful story. Yeah, for sure. So how do you think our people should be educated on it? Because I feel like it's information that is needed, and a lot of people, when you talk to them, first of all, even pronouncing the name, they're like, "Do what?" How do you think we need to work more in the society or the community to educate people? Do you think this is something that should be brought up in class or school curriculum and things like that? What are your suggestions to help spread the word and make it more ubiquitous?
Definitely within the community. I think that we need to make it a regular word. You know what I mean? Just like, I feel like I'm about to date myself, but in general, I feel like, the younger generation, I have a teenager. So, they're coming up with words, and they're coming up with, new terms for things. I feel like is the same way that we can be able to bring, doula and birth worker to the community. But then it's a matter of community. And if we can understand how to bring community back in within our homes, and then, in the birth space in general, I think that'll be something that's a little bit more expected, because, the birth space is, it's a very private and vulnerable space, and you don't want just anybody in it. Mm-hmm. But at the same, so you want to be intentional about things, but being able to have a doula in a space, I feel like would be hugely beneficial to a lot of the issues that we're dealing with right now.
Awesome. So at what point do you think people should be looking for a doula? Do you start searching for a doula when you're pregnant, or before you become pregnant, when you're thinking about getting pregnant? At what time do you think people should start looking for a doula to retain, to help them through the process?
I would say it's never like, you can do it as early as you want, because there are some women that, just want to know what a doula is. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with looking even before you decide to have a baby, or even, even if you are pregnant, and it's not too late, not too early.
Yes,
it's always the right time to ask about it.
Absolutely. I think definitely if you being intentional all the way around. So if you are, considering becoming pregnant, then get a doula. You know what I mean? So then you can be proactive about some things, because there are some things that a doula can be able to, either teach and or give you information about, so that you can come into that pregnancy kind of, at an advantage, and then making the pregnancy then a lot more smoother.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. And from my understanding, there are different types of doulas, right? Can you talk a little bit about the types of doulas and the stages, like postpartum doula?
Yeah. So I myself, I'm just a birth. I was like, well, not just a birth doula, but I am specifically a birth doula. So I do family planning. So I have taken clients that are not pregnant yet. So I will do that. But a birth doula typically starts from pregnancy, and we will walk you through the entire pregnancy, through delivery, and then 6 weeks into the postpartum. So that's how long the birth doula service ends up being. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a postpartum doula. Your postpartum doula can start anywhere from right after birth And the postpartum period actually lasts 7 years, but most doulas support to at least the first 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, very important. When we'll talk about we'll go into a little bit more detail about some of the work that make doulas significant in being present in your life when you're going through this process. So now I just want to go ahead and just talk a little bit more also on maybe the price. I know some people might be asking or wondering, like, is it free? And of course, we know that nothing is always free. But can you talk about the pricing that people are looking at when they are considering retaining a doula?
So every doula has their price, like they have different prices. So not everybody's prices are the same. However, if you are going through Medicaid, then, they would handle that portion for you, and they pay for.
Yeah. So for Medicaid, there isn't anything out of pocket for doula expenses. If you do have private insurance, it can cover anywhere between 90% to 100% of the cost. And obviously with private, it's what, like you were saying, every doula has their own price because they come to the table. Everybody doulas differently. You know what I mean? I have a specific specialty, just like Anaya has a specialty. So our prices would range. But at the same time, you are still at the end, as far as the core or the standard service, you would be getting the same thing, so it really just depends then on the vibe, if you actually vibe with the doula, and then if there's something specific that you were looking for in the service.
Okay. All right. So it's good. And what are some of the challenges that you may have faced during your practice? And I'll give you an example. I know, like, there are some, I've spoken to some doulas sometimes that would say when they go to the hospital or to go visit to follow their clients to see the doctor, and they're asking questions, sometimes the doctor might feel like somebody is there, like, interrupting or trying to do their job for them. Is that like a challenge that you experience? And also, if not, I mean, just talk about, the pros of just the work that you do and how rewarding it is.
I'm not going to say it doesn't come with challenges. I think a lot of it has to do with how we as doulas approach the different birthing locations. In a setting like a birth center, you probably have a lot less resistance because they're a little bit more holistic. Everyone is working on the same wavelength and kind of like from the same book. Whereas, in a hospital, we're dealing with people who have gone to medical school and have a completely different train of thought. And honestly, most of the time, they're not even familiar with what we're bringing to the table. So then that ends up being challenged from time to time. I know after supporting the amount of births that I have, I've kind of looked at a doctor and been like, hey, what about this? No. Okay, well, what about this? No, that's not that either. And so then they had their idea as to what was actually going on. And so they were like, well, let's turn this light on and let's see. And then they turned the light on and everything that I just said was what was going on. So, and then I just sat there trying not to have this look on my face like, told you so. But just as much as, they have letters behind their names and I respect the schooling and education that they have, there needs to be a mutual respect for what we've done. Mm-hmm.
Correct. All right. Very good. Have you had any challenges or?
I'd say like my main challenge is my age. Because I am on the younger side. It's just like not really being listened to. So like, or not taking seriously. So I had like a birth and, I'm talking to the nurses and the doctors and everybody's just like, oh, are you sure you're old enough to be in here?
Yeah, I should have been 16. Right. Yeah. Maybe we'll make it legal and say 21.
It's just like, that's just my main challenge. Other than that, I haven't had like any head-to-head battles yet with doctors.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Safe, supportive space.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And where do you have to be a female to be a doula? Or can male also be doulas?
Males can be doulas, yes, and I am all for it.
When do you recommend, like, if a male is thinking about, becoming a doula? Well, I think there's a special term for male. I think it's male are called doulo. Mm-hmm. Doulo, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Just want to make sure I use the right terminology. Yeah, so if you're a male out there and you're listening, yes, it is very possible for you to come into the space and help your partner during the process because, again, knowledge is power. When you have it, no one can take that away from you. So it's very important that you educate yourself because the process of having a baby is not something that is the responsibility of a woman alone. It's for the women. And typically, when we talk about, having representation, a lot of time when you go into your doctor's visit, you're going with your husband, I guess it should be that way. Mm-hmm. So you want to be able to have a voice, a real voice. And I know we were talking prior to the sitting and discussing the podcast, and we were talking about how you have male friends who, when you educate them about information that they should have possibly known, they're like, wow, I wish I knew that before I had my baby. Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So very important. This is not just for women alone. It's also for male. The good thing is the Black Mothers in Power have a class coming up, right?
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. For our men out there. So can I have you just talk a little bit about that? And then we can also share the website. And you can always visit Black Mothers in Power for more information.
Yes, we have some interest meetings coming up. I want to say one for the next couple of months. If we didn't already have the one in February, I know there definitely one is mid-March. And then there's two in April. So yeah, we're gearing up for an awesome opportunity. And it really is one, how men can be able to support birthing people in this space, but then more importantly, how to support the men that are showing up in that space as well. This is not, it's not specific to anyone, whatever your family dynamic looks like. Everyone needs to be and deserves to be supported. So just being able to show up. And sometimes I think men sometimes are not given enough credit as far as the power that they bring to certain situations. And how I personally do it, I empower the men that are in this space to know that they can do things that even I can't. And so their importance in the birth space, supporting their partners, and even then supporting other men who are going through the process, I feel like can make a tremendous difference in how a birthing experience can be.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this.
I love you already. I'm trying to find you some clients. I know two men out there who needs to be educated.
Yes, I'm for it.
All right, so let's talk about Monday. Y'all, Do More 24 may be over, but the work doesn't stop. Black Mothers in Power is out here every day fighting for better maternal health outcomes, supporting families and training doulas, and we still need support. So yes, we need you to support us in any way, shape, or form. And we're talking about, having male doulas join the program. Sometimes we have people approach the program not having the means to fund it. Yeah. So when we talk about, do more, or we ask for funding, this is a nonprofit organization. So a lot of things we do here, services we offer for free or try to look for a way to subsidize the cost to help people out. So if you're able to donate and help out, you're helping somebody out there who truly needs it and can't afford it, and other resources that Black Mothers in Power offers to the community. I know we have a food pantry. We have different programs to support people. Even this space that we're in right now is actually used to help people come in here for different reasons to get support. So there are different ways to support this organization. You can give, of course. You can also give your time. You can, however you're able to help out. You can always call in to ask where the need is to see how you can support to help this program succeed. And the website for giving is blackmothersempower.org/make-a-donation. And I think we should have that on the bottom of this podcast also, so you can just click the link and provide support. Please, 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 we need your help. It's a nonprofit organization, and a lot of things we do is to really help those people who are in the community that are in need and can't really afford what they need 100%. All right? All right, so we're going to go dive into our next segment here. March is Black Physicians Week, and we at Black Mothers Empower want to uplift and celebrate our Black doctors and healthcare professionals. Representation matters in maternal health, and we know that Black working people have better outcomes when they have Black providers. Why is it important for Black families to have access to Black doctors? Can you provide more information on that?
Well, for me, I would say full importance would just be like having someone that looks like you in the room that understands your needs and is willing to listen. That would be most important.
Yeah. We all experience things different culturally. And sometimes not having to explain certain things because it's understood
Automatically.
Yeah, I feel like definitely helps. Even if you look at something as simple as African Americans tend to be anemic. Mm-hmm. That's just something that a lot of us deal with. So when you go into a doctor's office, having someone understanding that, we are inherently coming to the table with this. It doesn't necessarily always mean that someone is malnourished or we don't have this or we don't have that. You know what I mean? There's another way of being able to tackle it on bedside manner with certain things. A lot of us have that white coat syndrome, being a little, uncomfortable being in a setting with a medical provider. And so, I think it puts us at ease a little bit when you're turning back and it's a mirror, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see yourself. And so there's a bit of a sigh and relief in just knowing that, it's not, there isn't another agenda behind the care that you're getting.
Okay.
And that even sometimes you're just being heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big thing.
Of course. I remember I'm from Nigeria originally, for those who don't know. And my mom recently joined me here, and I had to take her to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And when we got there, the doctor that we met, coincidentally, she was from Ghana. And there was just this relief. I felt like I could easily ask my questions. Mm-hmm. And even without me asking certain questions, she herself proactively told me certain things. She's like, being that she's from Nigeria, what region are you from? Like, she knew all those details and was able to have best recommendations for us and just give us that ease. Like, it's just something about, having that representation and cultural.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that for your mother as well, because coming from one country to another, like that in and of itself is a big transition. So understanding what that transition looks like, still trying to even keep certain things, that she would like to still have, or now, so because this is what we do at home, here is where you can continue that versus feeling like, okay, well, now that you're here, you have no access to that. You can't do it, and Tuffy the mess on you.
Right. So we're able to get a lot of information. And then what I also noticed, even though my mom is from Nigeria, and the common language that we speak in Nigeria is English, of course, it's still, there's still, it's not really a language barrier, I would say, but her just listening to the doctor, like initially, like shoot, I'll have to repeat what she said. So like, and that just makes me think about, people who actually speak a totally different language. So very important that we have a representation. And just speaking on that, let's just segue into some of the ways we can uplift our Black doctors in our community. And I know we were talking earlier, and we were talking about, the shortage in doctors. Can you shed some more light on that also?
There is a shortage nationwide as far as OBGYNs, but definitely here in Delaware. I actually was accompanying a client to a prenatal visit. And she, has a history because she's had other children. She has a history with other doctors. And as she was naming doctors, the one that was there was like, yeah, she retired. Yeah, she retired. Yeah, she retired. No, he's no longer working. Oh, he's now just overseeing a department. And I was sitting there like, well, who's left? Is anybody working? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And that's real. So although there is a shortage, there is a rise of Black midwives. And I would like to highlight that because I think that gets lost. We only think that, people who are going to a traditional medical school and coming to the table with just OBGYN. And this is, I do have friends who are obstetricians, don't take me wrong, but there is a portion of that really means observe. Whereas when it comes to a midwife, like I have experienced midwives being there for my entire client's labor. And that too makes a difference rather than just someone showing up because now we're like, oh, okay, we see a head there. So I think she's ready. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things like it's the care. It's then someone else too that we as doulas can be able to work with. You know what I mean? Because they use the same kind of techniques. They use the same kind of knowledge that we do to help progress labor. And so, I want to bring attention to those midwives as just saying, although you might feel like, oh no, I can't find a Black OB or all of them are booked because, there's only but so many of them in the area that we do have options now as far as midwives are concerned. So
awesome. And I think it's ingrained in us actually to just automatically think that once we get pregnant, we should be going to the doctor. Like it's almost you kind of start crazy sometimes when you tell somebody like I'm 7-8 months pregnant and I've never been to a doctor. Like what are you doing?
Yeah. But it's systemically put like that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because before you had doctors, you know what I mean? We talk about the granny midwives, especially with, last month being Black History Month, like the country was birthed. And like literally birthed by us. We were the ones, we were the hands, we were coaching everyone of any color. And to be 100% honest, they were the most respected out of anyone, even if you happened to be enslaved at the time. So like to go back to our roots and how things honestly started and how when you look at the maternal rate then and what is now, it looks like we need to go back a little bit. Yeah, let's go back to what works. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So shout out to Black Mothers in Power Directory of Black Physicians in Delaware, available on our website. If you're looking for a Black doctor in Delaware, check out our directory on the website. And if you know a Black doctor who should be added, please let us know. Like we're just talking about the shortage, and we're also talking about the rise of midwives, which is a great thing. If you want to become a midwife, you don't know where to start, please reach out to Black Mothers in Power. We got
that's on my to-do list. That's my next one.
We got the plug, right?
We are the plug. Yes.
So we know what time it is here. So just a lot of resources. I just love Black Mothers in Power. I love what we're doing for the mothers in Delaware and beyond. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, for sure. If anything comes to mind, there's no dumb question. I just need people to understand that. And we're saying we're talking about, we're talking just going back to, going to the hospital when you're pregnant and stuff like that. Like being pregnant is not a sickness. I think we need to go back to the drawing board. Being pregnant is a fun thing. It's a good experience. It's a fun experience.
Yes, yeah.
And I just love that here at Black Mothers in Power, we embrace that and just try to, educate you, to show you ways to enjoy your pregnancy, educate you as much as we can. All right. So now we'll go to one of my favorite all-time topic. All right. Talking about rest. Black woman, rest that body. Yes. And I have a quote that I got from Black Mothers Empower page or on Facebook. So guys, Black Mothers Empower on Facebook, I love going there every day. I feel like it's like next to after reading my Bible, I feel like I like going. Because they always have good resources, good information, empowering information, just to, educate you and just, help you live a better life. Okay. And just help you find out who you are internally as a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we get lost in translation because of, being clouded by what we learn or what you see every day, everything going on. You turn on to social media. It's just bad stuff going on. You feel depressed, you feel down. But just going to a website where you just have information that is telling you, Black woman, you're strong, you can do this, you're beautiful, you got this. Hang in there. But anyway, I got this and I wrote this down. They posted this maybe 2 weeks ago. It says, Black mama, your rest is revolutionary. Your healing is power. Your joy is resistance. You are the backbone of our community, carrying generation of wisdom, strength, and love. But today, let's remind you, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Prioritize you, your wellness, your peace, and your joy. All right? So very important. Let's talk about rest. And when we talk about rest, we're going to talk about Harriet Tubman, the Moses of her people, right? Leading everybody into the promised land. And in the process, she still found room to rest. So we're going to talk about, some of the struggles we face as women when it comes to rest, how we prioritize everyone and everything else and just forget about ourselves and what it actually does to our body. If you can just tell us a little bit, just talk a little bit about, why we need rest as Black women in general.
Comment?
Sure. Well, I was I'll let you think more. One of my girlfriends directed me to an IG page one time. It's called the Nap Ministry. And the Nap Ministry is huge on rest. And what I found is we are constantly in this cycle of need to go, have to do, have to prove something to someone, prove something to ourselves. We always feel like we have to work doubly hard to do things. And, we're already coming to the table sometimes even at a disadvantage because of systemically how things are. But we are doing ourselves a disservice. I love that quote about pouring from an empty cup. I know personally, even as a doula, I've had to set some boundaries even in my own services to say, hey, listen, I love you dearly, but I can't be of any use to you if I don't take care of myself as well. So part of the doula work that I find is sometimes I end up ministering to myself while I'm reminding, mothers to rest, while I'm reminding, even their partners to be able to rest, that especially in that maternal time, but just in general, it's necessary to take a beat and a pause. That's how our bodies are able to regenerate. That's how we are able to, reset. That's how we are able to, better show up as, ourselves, and then to be also to give to others. So I feel like rest is tantamount to being great.
Good. Yeah, and when you get to a point where you feel exhausted, it is important to sit back and relax and just take that break. Because I feel like exhaustion is like getting to a point where you're wounded, right? You get so burnt up, just doing everything, taking your children to school, coming back, having a cook, helping them with their homework, just doing all these things and not taking a break. Before you know it, you get a migraine, and then from migraine comes migraine, and then where they're taking Tylenol to continue functioning or taking a coffee or just 5-hour energy, just looking for all these means to just keep us going. But we need to get to a point where we understand our body is exhausted and we need that rest. And when you get to a point where you feel like you need that rest, take it, because when you don't, you're going to be breaking something else in your body, right? It's just like an athlete. If you're running and you get injured, you crack your leg or something, and you keep running, what's going to happen? Like, honey, the whole body is going to shut down.
Yeah.
So very important, like, that we take the rest we need. Pamper yourself, If it's work that is exhausting, you know what I'm saying? Like, take a break. Find out, like, what type of resources your job has. A lot of times, like, our job have resources to help us out, but we don't know. And if you don't ask, you don't know.
Right.
Like, for me, I always say there's no dumb question, So
The only dumb question is the ones you don't ask.
the ones you don't ask. Yeah. So that body needs that rest. And because if you don't have the rest for yourself, you get to a point where all the things that you really want to do, you will not be able to do it. So very important that we keep that in mind. Go get yourself pampered.
Yeah. And whatever that means, like some people, if you're like, yeah, well, right now my pockets aren't set up for me to go get pampered. Sometimes pampering yourself is journaling. Sometimes pampering yourself is, you know what, I'm about to just have a dance party in the living room, by myself or just with my kids. You know what I mean? Sometimes that is a part of self-care because we take in so much, like you were saying, just the mundane everyday things on top of just the stuff that, we as women take on, or, we as Black people just take on. I feel like there's so many of these things that we can't control, that if there is something that we can control and take hold of, it's how we show up for ourselves and then, in turn, take care of ourselves. So,
and that brings me to just prioritizing. Sometimes, like, when we feel like we're burnt out and we're exhausted, it's very important that we go back to the drawing board. Sometimes you see some moms, they'll say, oh, I can't do everything that I need to do if I don't have 3 jobs. Like, sometimes you really need to take time out and just go back to the drawing board, find out, like, what are these things that require me to make all this money to be able to function. Right? Sometimes we may not truly need 3 jobs. It may be that we have all the subscriptions that we're paying for that we're not even watching, right? Maybe we need to cut those off. Maybe the way we do our grocery, let's, visit that. If you live in a house where you have a backyard, can you grow some stuff, like when it comes to spring, like for me and my mom, like, we grow our vegetables during the summer and we freeze them and put them in the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? Like, those simple things that we can do, like, very important. Just sometimes you just have to go, like you said, journaling, go back, review your notes, see what you can do. What can you take off your plate that you can still live a fulfilled life? Sometimes we burden ourselves with things that are not needed.
Yeah.
We just burden ourselves with things that we just want, So
I was like, that's definitely poignant. I know sitting with my therapist recently, he had said something like, the best thing that you can do for your kids is to show up as your most healthy self. And so he's like, they don't need all of the things that sometimes we think that they need.
Yes,
what I mean? These are things that we want to give them. But at the end of the day, like, the best, a child thrives off of a safe, healthy environment, a place where they can be able to grow. And it is, a sustainable environment. Sometimes like just working and making sure that the house environment isn't toxic.
That's right.
That you're bringing your best self to the situation is the best thing that those children can have, because then you have provided them with the perfect platform to now just hit the ground running, and then they can provide for themselves all of those things, you know what I mean? Or you've given them the footstool to get to that.
Very good. And that brings me back to our first episode that we had when we're talking about domestic violence. And I want to visit that a little bit here. Now that we're going to go back to domestic violence. But like, sometimes you have mothers, like I know a lot of women who stay in abusive relationships all in the name of saying that, I don't want my children to grow up in a single parent household. But what we forget is that staying in there and being abused and having these children just watch us go through that is actually not healthy for them. I think there's a term for it. It's actually called collateral abuse. Mm-hmm. So when a child hears, even if, for example, if a dad is beating on his wife, and the child sees that man directly or indirectly abusing that child just by the child seeing that, or even if a child hears his dad insulting the mom, that's to him also insulting the child. So a lot of time you have women who stay in an abusive relationship and say, I'm staying in here because of my kid. But no, you're harming those kids.
But what you're also saying too, because we sometimes I think we also look at just what the abuser is showing, but it's also showing, from if it was a situation where, the mother was being abused, it's also showing the child what to accept, or what's acceptable, especially if, for me, I have boys. Mm-hmm. So, for them, it would be, okay, then I need to look for a woman who's going to accept this type of behavior, because obviously the male that's in here is showing me that this is how a man shows up. Yeah. But then I need to be looking for a woman who's going to accept this behavior from me as well. And so, we are perpetuating some very unhealthy behavior.
Correct.
Just doing that. Yeah.
Correct. And that takes me back to Sabrina Greenlee. I'm not sure if you heard of her. She was in an abusive relationship, and when she finally got to the point where she realized that she was actually in an abusive relationship, what she did was sit her kids down and ask them to tell her, what have I been doing wrong? You know what I'm saying? Or what do you think mommy needs to correct? And some of the things that her kids told her were, I wish you never stayed when daddy was treating you like this. I wish we left and lived in a happy home, like with you only. So sometimes you need to talk to your kids, find out what they really need, because sometimes you'll be doing things, thinking you're doing things to help them, but you're actually doing things to hurt them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's...
I was like, I love how she at least talked to her. I was like, because people don't do that. You know what I mean? Trying to hear from a child and their perspective. I know I love talking to, my sons. Like they are a wealth of information. I've given them a space to be able to share from their perspective. And I think sometimes, as parents, our ego has to die a bit so that we can be able to hear what's being said.
Correct.
Because, they only know how to communicate to the level and the age of which they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if you can read between the lines and be able to, hear some things.
Yeah, definitely a healing process. Now, and good thing about kids is they're very innocent. They'll tell you about yourself. You want to know the truth about yourself?
Yes, ask your child.
Ask your child. All right. So I'm going to read a quote from Malcolm X, one of my all-time favorite. The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. Black woman, rest. Take care of yourselves. Well, I am going to read Harriet Tubman's quote, one of my favorite also. I am the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. I just love her. So pretty much we just want to encourage you to stay strong, get the rest you need. We have a relaxation space here in the office. And I think it holds on Wednesdays. I'm not 100% positive. Like I said, there are great resources if you go to Black Mothers Empower to see what we offer. So please visit and see just some of the services that Black Mothers Empower offers that you can take advantage of.
Yes, there's yoga too. Yes, like I know there's
Yoga, right? Yeah. So definitely. And then we're going to wrap up here. Just thank you, ladies, for showing up for today's conversation. It's been great. The conversation has been so powerful. Thank you for sharing your experiences and knowledge with us today. And before we wrap up, just tell us, and just tell the people how they can find you on social media or any platform, any information, anything you think they can benefit from.
You can find me on Instagram at BLK_Love Doula. And you can also reach me at my email on my Black Mothers Empower email. It's naya.trotman@blackmothersempower.org.
and you can find me on Instagram at Doulas, because I am a chef and a doula.
Oh, wow.
So yes, Doulef. That's DOULEF_Mo419. You can reach me at Beyond Birthing Doulas, and you can email me at mharvey@blackmothersempower.org.
Beautiful. Can you shed more light to the class you have coming up?
Placenta class.
Placenta class. Yes, y'all.
Yes, we do have.
Let me say this. She already educated me on the placenta, and trust me, I cannot wait to sign up for that class. So let's meet.
I am a placenta nerd. We did have to reschedule, so it will be a hybrid class in March. And then there will be a fully virtual one in August. But you can find that registration on blackmothersempower.org. You will get the whole history of it. There will be a hands-on full demonstration of encapsulating a placenta, as well as keepsakes and all of the other good things. When you should, when you shouldn't, how do you pick it up, all that good stuff. So by the time you're done, you'll be able to have that as, to add as a service. If you are a doula, or if you're just like, I'm not with the doula stuff, but I would like to be in the birth realm somewhere and another stream of income. It's a lucrative space to be in.
Very good. Once again, this podcast is powered by the National Black Podcast. Thank you so much for just listening and tuning in for this wonderful episode. We appreciate you. Thank you. More to come. And stay tuned. Once again, my name is MC McKenzie, and I have been a pleasure being your host for today's episode. Thank you.